Well, hey guys, what's up? It's your boy, one and only AI Legends, and yeah, guys, today I am back with another series which is going to be What if Naruto was neglected by his family and had the powers of the Majin Buu? So, yeah, guys, hopefully this series is going to be pretty OP of a series and you guys will like it. So, yeah, guys, and finally, I'm free from all my exams and all that assignments. From the previous 2 months, I did not had, you can say, no time whatsoever as my exams were coming and I had to prepare for it as well as several assignments we had to submit. So because of that there was little time and many of my series were still there. I was not able to upload any video whatsoever in this channel, but hopefully I will be able to upload, you can say, videos on the daily routine now as I am free, and before my studies begin once again I will be able to upload a lot of videos for you guys. So yeah, guys, today I'm going to make this video and some other previous, you can say, series as well, so hopefully you guys will like it. And yeah, guys, before starting this video I would like to make a request to all of you guys who are watching this video. If you guys are new to this channel or if you guys have not subscribed yet, please guys do so. It will really help me a lot. I have put the link of my Instagram within the description below, so please guys follow me on Instagram as well. It will be really helpful. So yeah, guys, for the next part, the like goal is going to be 350 likes and 210 comments. Do that and I shall upload the next part as quick as possible. And who knows, I might upload it today as well. So yeah, guys, without any further ado, let's start the video. I'm going to start my video from the Nine Tails attack as Minato was panting a little as he has finally done it, as the Nine Tails was inside of the ceiling circle, as Kurama's eyes widened at that as he was surrounded from the all four section, as his eyes widened even further when he realized that he has been summoned through Horizon inside of a ceiling circle, as Minato along with Jiraiya, Hiruzen as well as Kushina were there, while only the Tsunade was protecting triplets. And yes, guys, in this series Naruto is going to have two siblings as well, Menma and Naruto. So yeah, as Tsunade was protecting them, as Kushina had the Nine Tails ripped from her by the masked man who kidnapped Naruto, as Minato was able to rescue Naruto and was able to beat down the, you can say, the masked man. But the masked man did not knew that Jiraiya was there along with Tsunade, so they were able to, you can say, scare him off, and then they were able to subdue Naruto. As then Jiraiya speak up, "Now Minato," as Minato had already completed hand sign, as all uh, four of Seal Masters slammed their hands into the ground as the Ninetale let out a roar as he was split into the yin and yang half, as Kurama was sealed inside of Menma and Naruto. In this series, Naruto will not have any chakra, any soul of the Ninetale whatsoever. He is not going to be the Jinchuriki of the Ninetales, but still his life is going to be pretty much of a hell. And you guys will see. And finally, the Nine Tails was defeated. Minato, the fourth Hokage, has saved his village. All the troubles were gone, right? Wrong. As what Minato did not expect it, what the backlash of this attack, what was actually going to happen within the village. So yeah, time skip 2 days as Minato along with Kushina and Hiruzen were in the Hokage's office. As Minato let out a sigh, the council was demanding to know what actually happened to the Night Tail as well as the civilians and the shinobis were getting a bit restless as Minato has to make a speech to tell them what actually happened to the Nine Tails and how it was actually defeated. Most of the council knew that a Biju simply cannot be killed no matter what. Even a 4 S-class shinobi and 1 double S-class shinobi cannot defeat the Nine Tails, or rather kill off the Nine Tails, so it means that someone had to be made a Jinchuriki. But who? As Minato was not willing to tell the village that how his own children possess the Nine Tails now. No matter what Minato may actually say, no matter how he may actually say, he will not be able to prove to the village that how Menma and Naruto are not a demon or anything like that. They are just Jinchurikis and they will be treated like any Jinchuriki. But then, before he could say anything, as Jiraiya jumped from the window, as Jiraiya landed, as Hiruzen speak up, "Well, Jiraiya, where did you go?" As Jiraiya said, "Well, I was reverse summoned to the Mount Miyaboko." As Minato simply nodded at that. So what happened to Gamabunta? Last I heard, he was pretty badly injured. As Jiraiya simply nodded at that. "Yeah, that also, but I was summoned by the great Elder Toad." As all of their eyes widened at that. As Jiraiya said, Minato, the great elder toad, has given a premonition. At this, Hiruzen's eyes widened at that. Last time, the great elder toad gave a premonition, the Uzushio fall, because Konoha did not take it seriously. Thanks to Danzo, that is. But still, as and the Uzu fall, but this time they're going to take it seriously. As Jiraiya speak up, the great elder Toad has said that how a child shall born with the power of an ancient evil. If the child is surrounded by the love, he shall bring the salvation for the world. But if surrounded by the carnation and the evil and hatred, he shall have the power to destroy the shinobi world as you know it. At this, everyone's eyes widen at that. As Tsunade, as Kushina speaker, what do you mean by that, Jiraiya? As Jiraiya said, well, Minato, I believe that Menma and Naruto are going to be the child of the destiny. As Minato, eyes widened, what do you mean by that, Sensei? As Hiruzen speaker, well, in a sense, it does make sense, Jiraiya. But do remember, such premonitions are, you can say, are not to be messed with. As Jiraiya said, we simply had to do something, Sensei. It is about the world. And I believe that it is Menma and Naruto because you and I both know that the Bijus are ancient evil and the Ninetale is the ancient of them all, the strongest of them all. And since both of them possess the power of the Ninetales, it is possible that this premonition is talking about them. As all of them simply nodded at that as Minato put a you can say hand to his hair as he said, what do I do now, Lord Third? You and I both know that the great elder told premonitions were always correct. And if I were to announce to the village that how Menma and Naruto are the Jinchurikis of the Ninetale, they will be surrounded by the hatred, and if such a destiny were to come true, the world will be at risk. As Hiruzen sighed, he simply cannot do anything at this point. They are forced to tell. They will be forced to tell the council what actually happened. There was no denying that. And such a situation simply cannot be, you can say, hidden from the shinobis as well as the civilians in time. As Jiraiya speak up, well, Minato, you have to understand that it is for the world. What I am going to say, you might not like it, but it has to be done for the good of the world and for the good of Konoha and the shinobi world. As Minato simply looked towards him, as Hiruzen narrowed his eyes at that, whenever he is, you can say, student, come up with some kind of idea, it always comes with a cost. As Jiraiya said, well, Minato, we can announce that how Menma and Naruto has the chakra of the nine tails, but they do not possess the consciousness or rather the soul of the nine tails. At this, everyone's eyes widened. As Hiruzen's eyes narrowed even further, it might work, but then again, the people only need, you can say, a scapegoat. They will not listen at this. As Kushina speak up, it can work, Minato. We can say that the soul was destroyed by you. Then we can have, you can say, people will only know that Menma and Naruto only have the power, not the Nine Tails itself. As Jiraiya shook his head before Minato could say anything, Kushina, it will not work. The people need a, you can say, a scapegoat for their hatred, for their anger, for their, you can say, sorrows. We simply cannot say that the soul was destroyed. If we were to say that, it will only, you can say, change little bit. People will still blame Menma and Naruto because they will not have any outlook to their hatred and their sorrows. As Jiraiya speak up, as he said, well, Minato, you have to listen to me. As we have to announce to the villagers that the soul of the Nine Tails has been sealed inside of. At this, he paused a little inside of Naruto, and only Menma and Naruto only has the power of the Nine Tails, as there was dead silence in the whole room. But then suddenly, a killer intent was directed towards Jiraiya, as it was none other than Kushina, as she said, what? As Jiraiya backed down a little, as he said, Kushina, you have to understand, it is for the sake of the world. If you were not to do that, all the hatred will be directed towards Menma and Naruto. As much as I hate to say it, Naruto is just not as important as Menma and Naruto. Both of them are the child of the destiny. They have to be protected and loved by the village, no matter what. As Kushina was still furious at that, as Minato also understand a little, but still he was also a bit mad. But then he was the Hokage. He has to think for the village, and for the village right now, village need a scapegoat. And Minato speak up, but why Naruto Sensei? As Jiraiya speak up, Minato, even though both Menma and Naruto are the Jinchuriki, but Naruto was also there and many shinobis and Ambu saw that. There is also a chance that how Danzo's route was also there and many shinobis saw that if we were to claim some other child has it, people will not believe it and the council will might not even agree to our story of separating the soul from the chakra. It might not work, Minato. We simply cannot take risks. It is for the good of the world, for the good of the village, for the good of the shinobi world. As there was silence in the room, Kushina was still angry, but a small part of her blamed Naruto for being kidnapped. If he was not kidnapped by the masked man, none of it would have happened. Minato would have tightened the seal on her. Then none of it would have happened. And same was the case with Minato. A small part of him blamed Naruto for, you can say, for being kidnapped and all that things happening afterward. As Minato simply nodded at that, as I said, I'm sorry, my son, but you have to make the sacrifice for the good of the village. As he simply nodded at that, and just like that, after some days, the announcement was made in which you can say, Minato declared both Menma and Naruto to be the hero of the village and Naruto to be the demon of the demon who possessed the soul of the nine tails. Even though he did not exactly say he was the demon, but still, he knew that most of the people will, you can say, will come with the outcome of Naruto being a demon and all that, but still, sacrifices has to be made for the greater good of the village. As Minato told himself that and simply went off knowing that from this day forward his, you can say, one of his son's life is going to be hell. For, you can say, even though he did not possess the Biju or anything or even the soul of the Nine Tails, he was not a Jinchuriki in any word whatsoever, not knowing that he has doomed the world along with the village at that day. After all, future and such destinies, premonitions are a fickle thing. They are not to be messed with, and soon enough, Jiraiya of the Sanin will come to know of it. Soon enough. And now let us have a time skip. As 5 years old Naruto was running across the village as several shinobis were chasing him along with many civilians as Naruto was running as hard as he could. As far as Naruto concerned, his life from the very beginning was a living hell. As far as he could remember, his parents always loved his siblings even more than usual or some other kids. As for Naruto, he was always ignored. As Naruto remembered a flashback for Naruto as when he asked for the training, but he was soundly rejected, saying that when he will go to the academy, he will be taught there. As Naruto remembered that, but before he was going back to his room, he saw that in his father's library, his godfather was there along with the third Hokage. As Kushina was speaking up, well, Minato, what do you have to say now? We simply cannot train Naruto, can we? As Minato simply shook his head, it is not possible, Kushina. If we were to train him, he might, you can say, fight off against the civilians as well as some of the shinobis there, and they will get even more hostile towards him. We simply cannot have Naruto lashing out at the villagers. It will give them the wrong idea. We simply cannot have him getting stronger or anything like that. As Kushina said, so what should we do, Minato? Sooner or later, he will go to the academy and then he might start it to get, you can say, fight off against the civilians. Even though I do not like it that the civilians were trying to hurt my child, but still, I understand it has to be done for the good of the village and for the good of the world. Menma and Naruto are far important than Naruto can ever hope to be. Both of them possess the power of the Nine Tails, while on the other hand, he possesses nothing. As Jiraiya speak up, as I said, even though I do not like it, Minato, but Kushina is saying the right thing. As I truly believe that Naruto should not become a shinobi. At this, Minato's eyes widened. What are you talking about, Jiraiya? As Jiraiya said, well, Minato, listen to me. First of all, if he were to go to the academy, he might learn something. And you know that even a academy student can fight off against the civilians. And if that happens, the council will demand his head. And you know that it will be difficult for you. And people may not like Naruto being the Jinchuriki of the soul of the Nine Tails, getting any stronger and anything like that. They might even try to remove you from the Hokage position. And this Minato's eyes widen, and in the outside of the, you can say, room, Naruto's eyes widen at that. His siblings had the power of the Nine Tails, and according to his godfather, as the villagers believe that he has the soul of the Nine Tails, as he was just 4 years old. He was even though he was a genius for his age, as Naruto was not stupid whatsoever. For his, you can say, whole life, he understand everything, as he was quite a genius of that of Itachi Uchiha's level. So yeah, while on the other hand, he speak up. And on top of that, Minato, even if you were to become shinobi, you have already decided that Sasuke Uchiha will be with Menma and Naruto, and I can already see Naruto does not has any potential, so I can bet that he will be barely, and you can say, above the any normal shinobi. So yeah, and no shinobi will take him under his command as a genin, and even further that the civilians will not, you can say, have him under their, you can say, employment, as well as it will cause the whole reputation of the village. People will not hire him as well as his, you can say, team, so it will cost the village just that. So we simply cannot have him becoming a shinobi, so it will be best for him to become a civilian when you can say make some business for him, as well as he could be employed in the academy or something like that. I don't think that it is safe for him to become a shinobi, and you have to focus all of your time on Menma and Naruto. The fate of the world depends on their shoulder. Naruto, on the other hand, is nothing. At this, Naruto clenches his fist at that. He was nothing, as he will show that bastard. As at this point, Naruto was furious at that. How dare that perverted toad, as well as his own parents, were trying to hinder him. He had only one dream, and then his mother speak up. But what about him? As he wanted to become Hokage, you know that, Minato. As Minato simply shook his head. Kushina, I believe that Jiraiya sensei is right. Naruto does not have the potential to become the Hokage. I believe that Menma would be a better Hokage. And you and I both know that the civilian as well as the shinobis will never accept Naruto being their Hokage. And Menma has most potential as well as the chakra of the nine tails. So when he become of the age, I will announce him to be the fifth Hokage. As Kushina simply nodded at that. So Naruto will not become a shinobi. It is decided then, right? As Jiraiya simply nodded at that. Now you should focus all of your attention towards Menma and Naruto. You can ignore Naruto for now, as they simply nodded at that. They do not like it, but a part of them blame Naruto for all of the Nine Tails attack, and it is for the good of the village, right? So they will do what is best for the village. As Harutan simply shook his head, he had a feeling that all of it is going to be really in the future it is going to be a big mistake. But he was an old man, soon enough he's going to die, so who cares? As he simply nodded at that and simply shrugged off as Minato released the seal. But at this point, Naruto has already gone off. His parents, as Naruto, you can say, heart really shattered when his father said that he did not had any potential of becoming Hokage. How did he knew that he did not had any potential? Hell, the man did not even train him a single bit. On top of that, he was just a 4 years old child. As at this point, Naruto was furious, but unknown to him. Inside of his, you can say, his body was getting surrounded by a strange type of power. A pinkish aura was surrounding him, and inside of him, you can say, two eyes suddenly opened, as both of them were dark red and with blackish area all around them. As a chuckle could be heard, but then those eyes closed once again. Now the flashback ends. In this time, Naruto was training, trying to, you can say, if he really had the soul of the Nine Tails inside of him, because he only has the word of that perverted toad that he has a soul, and at this point he has already learned to not trust his family. They were not trustworthy, even though Naruto asked them many times that he wants to become a shinobi. They did not even come true. They always said that how the training of Menma and Naruto is very important, and how he will learn when he will go to academy. As Naruto at this point was really furious, but at this point he was running for his life, even though he has gained some skills here and there. But still he was nowhere near to deal with several Chunins as well as several Genins that were coming after him, along with, you can say, many of the civilians, as he has already entered into the forest and he was getting deep on the opposite side of Konoha to the forest through the gates. So, as Naruto has entered into the forest as he was running, but then suddenly he tripped as a kunai was plunged into his knee, as Naruto let out a small scream of pain as blood was dripping from his body. As Once again, Naruto almost felt something inside of him, but at this point, it was being override by fear, utter fear. He was surrounded as the civilians were simply looking towards him with malice in their eyes and with a look which promised, you can say, utter pain. And several of the Chunin and Genins were there looking towards Naruto with murder intention in their eyes. As all the shinobis were looking towards Naruto with murderous intention in their eyes, as Naruto backed down a little, but another kunai stabbed into his foot as Naruto let out a scream of pure pain and utter agony as one of the shinobis speak up, "Now, demon, you're at your rightful place under our foot, and you will never leave that place," with a smirk on his face as another shinobi speak up, "Now, demon, it's about time for you to pay for your crimes," as Naruto was at this point was really scared. In all of this time he focused a lot, but then he started to study even further. He even unlocked his chakra, even though his chakra was really strange. Rather than blue, it was something, you can say, a bit pinkish. But still, Naruto never cared about much about it. Hell, he noticed that his chakra was a lot stronger and far easier to control. And with thanks to some help, he was able to see that whenever something was sealed inside of a human to make him a Jinchuriki, when they focus their chakra, their seal could be visible. As Naruto tried his best, hell, he tried many other small techniques which he could actually use, as he had gigantic chakra pools for that. No seal ever appeared on his body, as Naruto came up with the conclusion that how his parents lied to the village, putting all the blame on him so that his siblings could, you can say, be protected. And one day, Naruto also heard the so-called, you can say, the premonition and things like that. He was angry, he was furious, but he did not have the power to do anything. If he were to say anything to his parents, there was a good chance that they might steal up his memory at that and try to put some seal on him to make him some kind of, you can say, weapon for them or some type of loyal dog, and he will never allow it whatsoever. At this point, Naruto did not trust his family whatsoever. He had no family, he had no siblings, he had no parents or godparents. This village did not belong to him, and he did not belong to the Konoha. And he vowed that how one day he will make these people pay for their crimes which they have done against him, especially his parents and godparents. As while on the other hand, he at this point was really in pain, as several kunais were already plunged into his body, as one of the Uchiha speak up, as he was a Chunin, newly promoted Chunin, as he had two Tomo Sharingan in one eye and one Tomo Sharingan in the other, as he said, "Now, demon, you killed off my brother in that attack of yours. Since now you have been put into your proper place under our foot, now it's about time for you to pay. It's about time for you to pay." As he quickly go through hand sign, fast strike, great fireball jutsu, as the gigantic fireball was coming towards him. At this point, Naruto was thinking about everything that has actually happened in his life. His parents putting all the blame for the 90s attack on him, even though he was not the Jinchuriki of the 90s. His siblings were. He did not have the soul. His parents lied about it to the village so that all the blame could be put on him, so that their precious children could be saved from him. As Naruto was angry, he regretted for not being stronger. He wanted power. He was angry. He was furious. He wanted revenge. As he wanted to prove that he was not a weakling. As at this point, he did not care about proving them that how he was not a demon, because he was not. But one thing he was going to be, and that was a monster. But then suddenly, two pair of eyes viciously opened inside of Naruto as the gigantic fireball was coming towards him, as a chuckle could be heard as it turned into full-blown laughter, as Naruto's whole body started to, you can say, react to that, as the gigantic fireball collided with Naruto with a gigantic boom, as the villagers as well as the shinobis that were there started to cheer for the Uchiha that was seemingly has killed off the demon, as Uchiha was laughing, saying that how he has avenged his brother. As while on the other hand, Naruto, and then suddenly, before they could say anything, an aura of dread filled the area as then suddenly a gigantic beam, a pinkish beam, shoot towards the sky as whole area, whole village shook with utter power as Minato's eyes widened. He could feel the bloodlust in the area. For his first thought was as if something happened to the seal, so he quickly flashed towards his home to see what actually happened. If something happened to Menma and Naruto, only to see that both of them were sleeping and their seal was, you can say, content. As Minato was a bit confused as he quickly rushed towards the area only to see some distance from the village a beam of light was in the, you can say, sky. As Minato as well as several shinobi started to rush towards it, while in the whole area when they finally arrived to the area they only saw a gigantic crater in the center of the, you can say, whole trees, and some, you can say, lightning that was there, but it only vanished after some time as Minato was a bit confused about the situation as he quickly ordered his shinobis to scatter around the village and protect it only to see if some type of attack, some other hidden village is trying to attack them or something like that. As all the shinobis quickly spread across the village, while on the other side of the village, within the center of the forest of that, if you can say, in front of the river, a single boy was panting hard. As Naruto was there, his eyes were changing. As his eyes were now two Tomo Sharingan in the both eyes. As Naruto was confused, really confused, and then suddenly he clenched his head. He remembered as when the fireball attacked, all the shinobis were laughing as if they have killed him, and then he suddenly felt a pull inside of him as he remembered a darkish, you can say, pinkish aura surrounding him. As his eyes opened at that, as flashback, as the shinobis were laughing as well as the civilians, but then the white, you can say, the pinkish light shoot to the, you can say, sky as they thought that somehow the demon was regaining their his power. But how was it even possible? The Hokage said that the demon will never be able to possess any power of its whatsoever, as it was sealed inside of the hero children's. So how was the demon possessing the power when the light died down as the, you can say, so-called demon was looking towards them, as Naruto had this, you can say, yellowish as well as pinkish hair, as Naruto looked towards him with dark red eyes, as just like the eyes of the Majin Buu, red and whole black, as he was simply looking towards them as a maniac. You can say smile came to Naruto as he looked towards his head, as he said, this is power. This is mine. As he started to laugh like a maniac, and within a, you can say, flash, he vanished from the area. And next thing, as all the civilians knew, they were being chased like wild animals and killed off, each and every one of them, as the shinobis were way too much scared, as only one of the, you can say, some shinobis survived, but with a single, you can say, blast that came to Naruto's hand, as Naruto was laughing as he put his hand towards the shinobis that were coming towards him, only Chunin and some of the Ganis, as a pinkish aura, a pinkish blast was coming to the hand of Naruto as Naruto released the attack, as it was gigantic. Boom! But before the attack happened, something from the chest of Naruto appeared. It was some type of pinkish goo as it rushed towards the Uchiha person who was trying to run. Seeing that how somehow the demon was regaining its power as it surrounded him quickly. And after some time, the dead body of the Uchiha hit the ground, but the pinkish goo finally appeared back to the chest of Naruto and absorbed inside of Naruto's body as he laughed and vanished from the area before anything happened, but leaving a small blast there, and thus making the create, you can say, crater as well as, you can say, distinguish the whole bodies of the civilians as well as the shinobis that were there, as before Minato or any other shinobi could arrive to the area. For a moment, Naruto regretted for killing all of those people. They were civilians, they were shinobis, but then all of that regret and guilt was squashed under the utter hatred, utter anger. All of it was their fault. He never did anything to them, but they always chased him, always beat him. His own parents allowed it, his godparents allowed it. This, you can say, village was at fault. He never did anything to it. He was not a Jinchuriki, he was no demon, but he was one thing. if this village wants, this is something this village has created itself. They have created a monster, and he will give them that. But before that, he have to leave this place. And but one day he will return back to this village, but not now. He has much to plan. As Naruto simply smirked at that as he looked towards his hand, he could feel the energy, he could feel the power coursing through his body. He remembered those attacks. He could do it again if he so desired, but it seemed that he has a lot of training to do before that, as not to look towards the river. As two Tomo Sharingans were spinning, as not to simply smirk at that, something was telling him that how he could absorb the other Kekkei. He remembered all the jutsus which that Chunin actually possessed. As Naruto looked towards his hand, he could absorb the powers of others. He could absorb their Kekkei. He could absorb their memories, their power, their jutsus, their very chakra. As Naruto simply smirked at that, soon enough the world will know the name of Naruto. He is not Uzumaki, he is not a Namikaze, he is a Majin. Naruto Majin, or rather Majin Naruto, as he likes the sound of that for some reason. As a smirk came to his face, soon enough world shall know this name and fear it as it should. But before that, he had some training to do. So now let us have a small time skip as Naruto has finally reached to the age of 7, and at the age of 8 they were, you can say, supposed to go to the academy. As in this time Naruto stopped asking the whole his parents about the whole thing, and in this time no villager was able to catch him whatsoever. He was able to catch one useful jutsu by absorbing another, you can say, jonin. He did not absorb their body, as Naruto saw that how it was pretty you can say disturbing. So he only absorbed their chakra, their memories, and after that they simply dies because there is nothing left to gain. They even lost their body, even lost the ability to, you can say, reproduce that Kekkei anymore. If they possess any Kekkei, their body, that Kekkei cannot be extracted from their body anymore. Or any type of secret. For example, if Naruto were to absorb a Hyuga, his body will automatically, you can say, the Hyuga's eyes will simply turn into blind. That Kekkei, or rather, that Byakugan will not work even without the seal on their forehead. Same is the case with the Sharingan user. So, if Naruto were to absorb all the Uchiha clan, the Danzo will not have any Sharingan because those Sharingan will never be able to work. They will be nothing more than normal eyes. As Naruto in this time started to train as well as started to get some formal training, or rather, you can say, started to absorb many of the shinobi techniques and things like that from many other shinobis. As Naruto simply smirked at that, he only absorbed those who came after him, who wanted to kill him or something like that, as Naruto repaid their kindness tenfold. In this time, Minato was receiving several reports that how many of his shinobis were getting missing, as well as from that day Minato noticed that there were several reports of several civilians as well as many newly minted genin and several chunin started to get missing. As Minato was really confused about the whole situation. First he thought that they decided to go rogue, but Minato noticed that there were some shinobis who were, you can say, just recently graduated like 1 week ago. So what reason will they have to go rogue? So that was not adding up to that. But Minato at this point has other things to deal with, such as, you can say, another Kumo shinobi that was coming, as it was a flashback of Naruto as Minato when received the news that how Kumo Diligent is coming. As Naruto simply smirked at that when Naruto saw the Kumo shinobi, as Naruto at this point has regained several of his powers as well as magical abilities. He could easily fly, he could change anything, he could change a person into a chocolate if he so desires, as well as change things into anything he so wants. For example, if he has a rock, he can change it into stone, or sorry, into gold if he so desires. As Naruto's physical power started to go even powerful at this point, he trains mainly in the forest of death, as only one person tried to disturb Naruto once, and she was quite near, but before that, Naruto simply vanished from the area. It was none other than Anko Mitarashi, and she always tried to catch him as Naruto got really annoyed from her and finally scared her off pretty badly if I so added, but that is a story for another day. Right now, as Naruto simply smirked at that, it seemed that his father is pretty happy after getting rid of him or things like that. So why not cause a bit of, you can say, tension and trouble for the village? And the opportunity itself presented it to him. As Naruto simply smirked at that as he saw that the Kumo Shinobi tried to kidnap a Hyuga member. As Naruto simply smirked at that, this Kumo Shinobi was a holder of a Keke Genkai, as his Keke Genkai allows him to, you can say, reflect lights from him, as well as his stealth ability, as he was quite great at stealth operation. That was the reason he was able to sneak inside of a Hyuga compound because the Hyugas were not using their Byakugan, as so he was able to make himself invisible, but if a Byakugan user were to focus quite correctly, he should be able to catch him, as this Keke Genkai allows him to reflect even the chakra and things like that from his body, thus making him truly invisible. Though Naruto simply smirked at that as a Kuma Shinobi landed at a branch, but then he quickly jumped back, only to see a kid coming from the shadows as Kuma said, "Huh, well brat, what are you doing here? Why don't you get lost? I have other things to deal with." As Naruto simply smirked at that, "Well, I'm pretty sure that you have many things to deal with, but at this point, I need something from you." As Yuga said, as the kidnapper said, "Huh, forget it, brat. I'm not handing over the Hyuga to you. She will be used to bring the Hyuga clan to the village, our village, the Cloud Village." As Naruto simply smirked at that, "Well, I don't care about the Hyuga, but your Genkai is going to be useful, even though I have little need for such powers, but they are always interesting." As the Kumo Shinobi simply looked towards Naruto as a chuckle as he said, "Well, you're lost, brat." As he rushed towards Naruto with his, you can say, sword in his hand as he cut off Naruto's, you can say, arm and putting Naruto to the ground as he said, "Huh, well, brat. So, just like I told you, you're just a brat." But before he could complete his sentence, as the arm which was in his hand started to move, as it quickly engulfed him, as Naruto stood up as he said, "Huh, always underestimating me, huh? Well, such a weakling." As Naruto's arm turned into jelly-like material and started to absorb the Kumo Shinobi, and after some time threw his body away, as the arm quickly came back and attached to Naruto's body. As Naruto simply smirked at that, he got the memories and the secrets of the Kumo and things like that. Well, this will be useful, as Naruto thought it for some time. Why doesn't he make his own village? It will definitely cause chaos in the world. And one thing Naruto recently started to like was nothing but chaos. As Naruto simply smirked at that, this will definitely cause troubles for his dearest father. As he saw that some noises were coming towards him, as Naruto put his two fingers on his head and vanished from the area as he used instant transmission and vanished away from the area. And Hyuga members arrived only to see that Hinata that was outside of the bag as she was looking towards the dead body of the Kumo Shinobi, as Hiyashi was confused, wondering if his daughter has killed off a Kumo Shinobi, as he quickly grabbed Hinata and quickly went away, and thus calling the Ambu to take away the body of Kumo Shinobi, as Minato was really at a tight position that Kumo Shinobi was here on a, you can say, he had a diplomatic immunity. He has died here, as Minato tried to use, you can say, Yamanaka clan to see what actually happened. How did he actually die? But only to find nothing. His memory was completely blank out. There was not even a, you can say, sign of him kidnapping. They only had their word of the Hyuga clan that how Hinata was kidnapped, and she was found with a, you can say, a bag of kidnapping, as well as, you can say, dead body of Kumo Shinobi, as the Hyuga clan was really at a tight position, as well as the Hokage. In the end of the day, you can say Hiyashi's, or rather Neji's father, Hizashi, had to sacrifice his life. So yeah, as Naruto simply laughed at the face of his father which he was making, as Naruto simply smirked at that. "Soon enough, dearest father, I will make so many troubles for you that you will regret it. You will regret the day of using me like your scapegoat, like I was nothing." As Naruto simply smirked at that thought, soon enough, he will pay a visit to his dearest godfather. who said that he was nothing, as Naruto simply smirked at that thought. At the age of 8, his parents finally came true, as Naruto remembered flashback, as Naruto was simply looking towards his parents with a blank look on his face, or rather a mocking smile. At this point, Naruto really did not care about his family, as his even parents noticed that how his demeanor finally changed at that, as Minato and Kushina were a bit worried. After all, they did not hated him or anything like that. They only taught him that how it was for the good of the village and for the good of the world that Menma and Naruto are to be protected and loved by the village, and someone had to make the sacrifice, and Naruto was just convenient at that point. Even though Minato often noticed that he could have taken the blame himself, claiming that how he possessed the nine tails inside of him, but then there was, you can say, a great risk that how the Danzo will use the opportunity, saying that Minato was being manipulated by the soul of nine tails or something like that. Even Kushina could take the, you can say, the whole blame on herself, but then there was a part of both of them which blamed, you can say, Naruto for all of it and wanted him to suffer. So they let it be. And then after some time they noticed that it was a mistake, but at this point it was way too much late to take it back, and they've already decided that Naruto will not be a shinobi anymore because the villagers or the village will never accept him to be a shinobi, and it will cause too many troubles. As Minato speak up, well Naruto, me and your mother have finally came to a decision that you will not become a shinobi. It is much better for you to become a civilian. At this, what Menma and Naruto were snicking at that as Naruto speak up, huh, did you hear that? You are just a weakling and it's nothing more than that. Even mom and dad thinks that you are nothing more than that. So you will not become a shinobi. Huh. A weakling, as Menma added his own two cents at that, as Naruto simply looked towards both of them. Do you have anything more to say? Huh? As Minato was a bit confused as he said, not actually, but we were thinking that if you were to like to go to a civilian school, you know that the civilian as, but before he could say anything, as Naruto was already walking away. Yeah, I heard you. Now I have other things to deal with. So, see you soon. As he simply went off before Minato could say anything, as both Minato and Kushina shared a worried look, wondering if what they have done was right thing, but then they have done it for the right reason, so it does not matter if you can say they were wrong or anything like that, as Menma scoffed at his, you can say, so-called older brother. He never considered him to be that. He was just a weakling and nothing more than that. While Menma and Naruto were always believed to be the hero children of the village, and thus treated as such, so they never cared about it. While on the other hand, Naruto had already other plans for the village. Soon enough, he will leave this village and he shall have his own destiny. But at this point, it's about time for him to start his plan, as Naruto simply smirked at that thought. He already, you can say, was spying on his father, so he knows what is going to happen in the future time. So he has to wait, you can say, wait a bit more, and then he will have a lot of jutsus in his hands, even though he has become strong and he was getting hang of his power, but he had also realized that more he can get the abilities, the more better his regenerative properties body can easily put Hashirama and Tsunade Senju to shame. His endurance was beyond anything. He simply cannot be killed by normal means. Someone has to destroy each and every part of his body. But Naruto doubted that even the, you can say, Jinten release of the third Tsuchikage could actually kill him, even if that technique had the power to disintegrate anything and everything into the molecular level. But Naruto had a theory that his power, the more he gets stronger, the more powerful he gets, the more stronger his regenerative powers actually get. As Naruto could already feel himself getting stronger each and every day, and today is going to be the day he's going to test it. He's going to leave this village, you can say, happy present before he left, as Naruto rushed towards the forest of death, and Naruto smirked at that as he started to increase his power, as there were several animals which were trying to come towards him, as Naruto put his hands together, as he had a small vision type, as the energy started to surround his body as a pinkish aura. Suddenly, a wave of power rushed through the village, as Anko Mitarashi that was in the, you can say, in the outskirts of the forest as her eyes widened as she felt an immense chakra source in the center of the, you can say, village. She was about to rush towards the forest, but then suddenly whole area shook as the whole village started to tremble under the feat of power that was being unleashed at a single point. And just remember that Majin Buu was able to rival Super Saiyan 3 Goku, whose, you can say, transformation was able to shook off the whole planet. So yeah, as Naruto was powering up, even though he's not at the level of a Kid Buu, but still he's also pretty powerful as Naruto was powering up even more and more as whole village was being shook, the glasses were being shattered into pieces, the whole Hokage monument as the Hokage monument was trembling as the mountain side was also, you can say, rocks were falling from it as Minato was also trying to get his grip as all the shinobis were trembling at that as Anko tried to rush towards the forest, but a shockwave slammed her into the gate as Naruto powered up a gigantic beam in his hand as she started to float into the air as he said, "Now then," as Naruto pointed in the center of the forest with a maniac smirk on his face as he looked towards all the animals that were rushing away from the area as Naruto smirked. "Now die!" As Naruto released the attack towards it, even if the attack were to hit him, his body could easily regenerate if he so desires, as there was a gigantic boom as the whole village shook under, you can say, under the power as Anku's eyes widened as a pinkish dome of energy was rushing towards her as she quickly jumped outside of the forest as the whole forest blew away with a gigantic, you can say, boom as the whole place, whole area shook under the power as all the shinobis were looking towards it in utter fear as it was the same type of bloodlust, even greater than, some even thought it was greater than that of the Nine Tails, as Naruto was far away at this point into the sky watching it with a maniac smirk on his face as he was laughing as all the shinobis quickly surrounded the area as Minato could not believe it. What kind of jutsu could destroy something like Forest of Death itself, as this forest was, you can say, whole across kilometers all around the area. It was not possible. He did not knew any jutsu. Hell, even the S-class jutsu simply cannot destroy this much of a large area. As he was at awe as he quickly ordered his shinobi, trying to find something that could actually done it. But Minato really doubted it, wondering if it was some type of Biju or Aiba was trying to get his revenge. As Minato did not understand at this point, as Naruto simply smirked at that, as he said, "Huh. Well, it seems that the Forest of Death is done for. Well, at least it played my playground far soon enough." And after saying that, he started to laugh even further, like a maniac. But don't worry, guys, I will not make Naruto into a maniac in the whole series. But still, I like to do it sometimes, little bit. So yeah, in the series. So yeah, guys, here I will left this part. In the next part, you guys will see that Naruto leaving the village and doing his own thing. If you guys have some other ideas about the next part, I am willing to listen. So if you guys have some new ideas, do it in the comment section. The like goal is going to be 350 likes and 210 comments. Do that and I shall upload the next part as quick as possible. And yeah, guys, I have already told you guys that I have put the link of my Instagram within the description below. So please follow me on Instagram. It was really fun making this series. So this part, if you guys have some new ideas, please tell me in the comment section. So yeah, guys, hope you guys enjoyed it, and yeah, peace.